I'm here with another Super Wonderkids video, this time for Italians in the game. Now, what is a Super Wonderkid? It's a Wonderkid just a little bit younger, so they haven't quite got Wonderkid status yet. They're 15 or 16 years old. Their attributes are randomized at the start of the game a little bit, so they might have slightly lower in some areas and slightly higher than others than the ones I will show you today, but they should all turn out to be pretty good. So make sure you check them out. Let me know how they turn out in your game. And they should be a bit cheaper to acquire and more moldable to your team. So these are perfect. If you're not quite those top teams, you can't afford to spend 100 million on Musiala or Joe Bellingham. You've got to need a much cheaper player, but they're going to take a little bit longer to develop. Have a look how these players are in your team. Here are 5 Super Wonderkids from Italy. First player I want to bring you is at Bristol City, surprisingly enough. I know I said in the last video, if you haven't seen the last one, it's about English players. There are quite a lot of players at Bristol City in their youth team that are young and progress quite nicely. And there's something about Bristol City that is creating these players. This guy, Ibrahim Mehanovic, he's only 15. If you keep him in England long enough, he might also be eligible for England as well as Italy. But look at him at 15. These are some absolutely mental attributes. He's already got 13 in finishing, 13 in acceleration, 13 in first touch. His technique isn't too bad. It's a bit of flair. Determination is 11, but you know, that could be a bit higher. See how he is in your game. If he's got high determination, he might really be one to grab, but he's worth only 120 to 350k. You could get him at a much lower league team, take him into your team, progress him, and as you progress up the divisions, he progresses alongside you. So this player could be one really to have a look at in your team. He's 6 foot as well, so he's not short. He's got 13 heading. He could be really, you know, he'll keep growing as well. So that 6 foot isn't the limit for how tall he's going to get. He could go up to 6'3", 6'4" if you're really lucky. He's not slow. Maybe a little bit of strength could be useful there. You know, a little bit better in some of these areas. Off the ball and his mentals as well, a bit better work rate. But with time, I think Ibrahim Mehanovic could turn out to be a really good purchase for your team. The second player I want to show you is Tommaso Ghirardello. Look at this guy. Oh, he looks pretty special for someone who's only just 16. Dribbling 15, finishing 12, first touch of 16, good long shots. Passing isn't too bad. You know, he's got good technique, decent off the ball already. He's not too slow. He's got a little bit of pace, really good balance. You know, a bit of determination as well. For a striker or for a wing player, he looks like he could be really good. Maybe you want him a little bit faster, but he's 6'1", so you could put him in the center. He's got 11 heading as well. Again, he's going to get taller as time goes on. Much like your bow, you might want him to be a bit stronger, but 14 jumping reach already. I mean, you could start to put him in your team at 16 if you're playing in a Serie B team, or you're playing in a second or third tier team, or if you're in a first tier team, chuck him in the cup matches and see how he progresses. I think Tommaso Ghirardello could be a really good acquisition for your team. And he's not going to cost you much, 50k to 500k roughly. The agent maybe asks for a little bit more. He's at Padova in the under 18 team there. Go have a look at him. The next player, Giulio Bassini at Ferrapesalo. I've got a Ferrapesalo shirt here. This was a special one that they did for the playoffs last year. They reached the Serie A playoffs. They lost to Palermo in the semi-finals. But look at this guy, 16 years old. He's already got a whole load of 14s in there. Dribbling, first touch, technique, heading, finishing, acceleration, pace, agility. Look at those. And he, you know, 10 determination could be a bit high. Of course, these attributes might vary a little bit on your version, but that is a lot of 14s in a player at 16. 12 off the ball as well. Passing and vision only 8, but you know, those can go up. I think he could be really good. Again, he's a striker, but you can drop him a bit back. You could probably retrain him as a winger. I'd imagine he'd be quite good as a winger. You can get that crossing up, maybe as a cam as well. Giulio Bassini is a really strong prospect in the game if you're looking for an Italian striker. Again, look at that heading. You know, 5'8" is a little bit shorter than the other guys, but he gives me Michael Owen vibes, you know, with that acceleration, that pace, dribbling, finishing. He could be really good in your save as some kind of attacking forward or poacher. Maybe you don't rely on too much for the heading unless he gets a little bit taller. But, you know, the heading rating is there. With the speed, the dribbling, the finishing, I see a future Michael Owen right here. Okay, we covered a couple of attacking players. How about someone a bit more defensive? He's a defensive midfielder, but you could also retrain him perhaps as a centre-back, perhaps a little bit short for a centre-back. He only has 1 in heading there, which is a little bit low, 5'9", and not great jumping reach, so, but probably as a defensive midfielder, you've probably got looking at a N'Golo Kante type player here. Decent tackling, passing is decent already, technique is decent already, first touch is good, some pretty good physicals there as well, decent speed, fitness, pace. Maybe you want to retrain him. I'd probably put him in as a cam, actually, looking at those attributes. A good work rate, determination of 17 there, and a resolute personality. I think he could go far. You got to work out where you would use him, probably as some kind of playmaker in your team with that little bit of pace as well. Maybe you want to take advantage of that. Really strong prospect at Hellas Verona, defensive midfielder Stefano Della Riva. Final player I want to show you is at AC Milan, Tommaso Manchoppi. He's only 16 again, value 140k to 400k, so you could acquire him pretty cheap if AC Milan are willing to let him go. But again, already there's some 14s and 15s in here. 14 acceleration, agility, pace, 14 first touch, 14 for passing, 14 for technique, 15 for determination, which is pretty important there, and he's got a fairly determined personality. Again, check how these match up with the version in your game, but if he's pretty close to this, he should be pretty good. Much like Della, you might use him as a cam or a CM, maybe on attack, you know, playmaker perhaps, or utilize that speed a little bit, perhaps use him as a shadow striker to get in behind the opposition defense. You'd want his finishing to perhaps go up a little bit. Again, he's a little on the short side. He's only 5'1". He hasn't got lots of heading and jumping reach. Again, these players can grow when they're only 16 years old, which highlights how much those 6-foot players might already grow. But Manchoppi is pretty short. I think you could use him in other ways in your team. Maybe a very, very useful player. You're going to have to pry him out of AC Milan's hands. 2006 he was born. How old are we getting? Anyway, go get Tommaso Manchoppi. Let me know if he's any good in your game as well. So those are 5 Italian Super Wonderkids in the game Football Manager 2023. Let me know how they are in your game. I'm curious, you know, the attributes. I want to know how much variance there is on those attributes. It's not quite clear, you know, are they as determined as in your version as they are in mine? Are they capable of making it in the top flight of Italian football? Let me know what sort of player you've ended up with there. It's likely these players have a quite high potential ability. We can't see it in the game yet until the full game is out, so I'm willing to eat my words when the full game comes out. But I think these guys probably have a good range. It's going to be quite a wide range at this age, but a good range of very weak to very, very strong potential Wonderkids in the game. If you spotted any of your own from Italy, let me know in the comments down below. Let us know where they play and what their names are. And also head down there, hit the like button and the subscribe button to the channel. So we'll be bringing you more of these videos. We've got to do France, we've got to do Spain, we've got to do different positions as well, and see what else we can get. We'll look at some of the regular Wonderkids as well as these Super Wonderkids. But if you haven't already, why not go check out my video I did on the English Super Wonderkids and see if any of those take your fancy. Of course, if you're managing in Europe, they no longer meet the European rules, but some of these guys are pretty good still. You can get them in young enough, maybe you get past the work permit rules. So go check this video out here.